Jessica, and this is Shimmy Chat. This is the talk show about belly dance where we talk about all things belly dance. So we're going to talk about some fun things today with Miss Thea. So she's also known as Thea Rocks or Thea Belly Dance. And let's go ahead and meet her. So we're here with Thea Bellydance, who I've known for a long time and who I love. And she is my mentor, and she has taught me so much, and I love taking classes from her, and I've learned so much from her. And she's always so supportive and awesome, and she's not only an award-winning belly dancer, but she is also a musician, and she's just all around fabulous. So let's talk with Thea today on Shimmy Chat. Yay!
Yay! I'm so happy to be here. Thanks,
Oh, thank
Jessica.
you. Thank you. First of all, let's find out how you actually discovered belly dance. How did you get into belly dance?
Okay, so let's flash back to, let's see, probably 10-year-old me. I went to a restaurant that's no longer there in Pasadena, the Burger Continental, and I saw a dancer who might have been Kamala, and and I fell in love with it. My mom kind of leaned over to me and said, "I think you could do that when you grow up," and she said something about like it's so exotic and so beautiful, that lovely dancer, and it like circled in my mind, and I was so excited, and I was just thinking about it all week, and I went to school the next day, and I said, I know what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be an exotic dancer. And there were some words that went home that day. I think my dad got a phone call, very concerned. But yeah, I really, really loved it. And I didn't know the terminology back then, of course. But about 10 years later, I found belly dance class, local belly dance class in a catalog that was sent home to me. I think you saw the same catalog, and I signed up for it that day. I think I signed up for it like 3 months before it happened, and I was just counting down like I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. So in college, I was about a year into college. I started dancing with Kristen in Glendale, and I stayed with her for years. I became one of her dancers in her troupe. So that was super great.
Awesome, awesome. That's so fabulous. I love that it was in your mind when you were 10 and then you just thought about it and thought about it and then finally you got to do it. It's so great.
It
Yay.
took me about a decade, but I got there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Cool. So, I guess before we get into the next question that I wrote down, tell me about dancing with Kristen. So you took
Ooh.
classes from her, and then she had a troupe, and so you got to dance in her troupe. What was that like when you were new?
Yeah, she it was funny. She had this little beginner series, I think it was 6 or 8 weeks, and then at the end of the series, she says, "Let me know if you're interested in going into the my troop class, and if you want to like talk to me about it, see if we're ready." And I think it was just to kind of keep some of the less experienced dancers out of it. She was trying to be discouraging, saying like, I'll let you know what you need to work on. And as soon as I said, I'm interested, what do I need to work on? She said, nothing, come on. She like threw me in the troupe, put me on stage. She did, at the time, it was a monthly showcase at a restaurant. And it was every month we put on a show. We had a new choreography. We'd put together solos and duets, and I got a lot of experience dancing at a restaurant. From that, it was a student showcase, but I really understood how to connect with an audience after that. She brought us to festivals, and a few years into that, I started teaching, and she really like held my hand and brought me into kind of up to speed of like, here's what you need to know.
Cool, cool. That's awesome. And it's especially wonderful that she was supportive of your teaching. That's really great.
Yeah, yeah, really cool.
Cool. So, throughout the years, this is sort of a thing that I think we have different levels of this, but who are your inspirations in dance? Because when you first start dancing, of course, especially in Middle Eastern dancing, we don't know a whole lot about it because it's not our culture and we have to learn. So you may admire somebody that, is not quite in the Middle Eastern realm, or maybe
Right.
some other type of
Exactly.
dancer. But who are your inspirations? From the beginning and from now.
Yeah, big time. When I started dancing, there was no YouTube, and we just learned from the people around us, which I think kind of goes along with the style of American cabaret. It's like, who can we learn from? It's the people that are here. So my big inspirations at the beginning were like Kristen and the other people in my troupe, and then we'd go to the festivals, and I'd be like, "Ooh, that girl!" It's like,
Yes.
and then the reach gets a little further and further, and so it was like, who can I study with? And so I started like, reaching out further, but with how the world is now with pandemic and with, forcing me to be a global member of this community, a member of the global community, I should say, is now I'm seeing not just the people around me by region, but I'm seeing people all over the world that are just blowing my mind. Like, coming to mind right now, I can say like Mercedes Nieto. She dances with her whole heart. It's
Yes.
like extreme emotion, and it's glorious. There's this little girl in the Ukraine who's like just nuts talented. Sophia, I think Lifar, and she must be like a teenager now, but just the way that she moves is just impossible. And, and it blows my mind. It's not something that I can aspire to, but it's something that broadens my sense of what is possible. I love Scheherazade in Cairo.
Yeah.
It I go into like, I do like the little deep dive into the Instagrams of like, ooh,
Yeah.
who's dancing to this music? And then I see like the people dancing to this, and then I see the people dancing to this. Who's wearing the Melodia outfits today? Like, you see the fusion dancers, and you're like, oh man, I gotta learn how to do that. There's a woman, Ebony dances. Have you seen Ebony?
Yes. Yes.
Holy smokes,
Yeah.
blows my mind.
Yeah.
And really, it's like these
Amazing.
people who move in ways that I can't move that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting. It's
It
like
is.
it's exciting to see what's possible.
Yeah.
And I just hope that I have something to add to that. But right now I'm studying with Laura Lale,
Mhm.
who is just like blowing my mind. I, I
She's
can't
amazing.
I can't
Yeah.
stress it enough. She's
Yeah.
just the most incredible person and dancer, and just like super confident and full of praise, and
Cool.
she's perfect with like the compliment sandwich of like, wow, that was amazing, you should work on this, but that was amazing.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm studying with Sabah, who was the director of Bellydance Superstars after Jelena
Yeah.
left, and so Sabah is incredible. She studied in Egypt for many years,
Cool.
and she knows what's up. Um, I know I'm like probably like stepping on your next question, but
That's okay.
I the people that you study with are going to be your biggest influences in life. Um, like I studied with Farhana, who again, like, broadened my horizons. Like, I
Yes.
didn't know you were allowed to move this way. I didn't
Right.
know that you were allowed to make these facial expressions when when you dance. Um, and Mesmera, who's like fiery and fierce and just like a totally different dance persona than what I was used to, and it's exciting.
Definitely.
I don't know
Definitely.
if that answered the question,
It
but
definitely
yes,
did. Yes.
everyone,
I
all
think
of
it's
you.
Yeah, I think it's great to study with different people too, because you do get these different um, styles and these different ways of expressing yourself, and sometimes you don't know that if you just stay with one teacher for a long time, and that's sort of all you know. But broadening your horizons and
Yeah.
studying different styles, and like you said, some of the fusion dancers, man, they're so amazing with their snaky movements that we try to do them, but it looks different. It looks different.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So, how would you explain belly dance to somebody who's a beginner? What would you say to somebody that didn't know what it was? How would you explain it?
In short, it's shiny and fun, and you get to move your body in ways that you're not used to. Um, just like you get to be glamorous and move like this. But also, it is an umbrella term. It's a colloquial term, and it's describing kind of a combination of dances from the Menat region, the Middle Eastern, North African, Hellenic, Turkish regions, and it's kind of like a fusion term of all of this like mashed together, but super shiny. So, but you can
Yes.
have like the fusion belly dancers who are more earthy and maybe more like um like the pop and lock kind of hip hop feel, but then you've got someone that's uh maybe based in ballet
Yes.
ballet technique, and then dances on her toes the whole time. So you've
Right.
got kind of this big world of dance, and then it's just like in this cute little package of a term, and it's just belly dance.
Right. Yes.
It's
Right.
the most, it's the most recognized term, at least around here, of what we're doing.
It is, but there's certainly a lot more to it. Okay, so tell us about your early teaching experiences when you first stopped being a student initially and then became a teacher. And I know that we all like to study, throughout our lives
Yeah.
because there's so much to learn. But going from student to teacher, tell us about that transition.
Yeah, never stop learning, number one. And
Absolutely.
I overlapped. I was still a student primarily when I started teaching, and then it was a smooth transition.
Huh?
I was in a class, and one of the girls said, "Hey, I like your style. Will you teach me?" And at that point, I had been teaching music for a while. I started teaching music in 97, so I kind of knew how to teach, but I didn't know how to teach dance, and I was up for the challenge, and I thought like, well, why not? I
Yeah.
was a starving artist and might as well like make some money. And she said, "I can't pay you." And I'm like, hmm.
Oh.
She said, but I'm moving to China next month, and I want to learn belly dance before I go, and I have all of this beautiful furniture. Do you need new couches? And
Ah.
so my first teaching experience was in exchange for couches, which I actually did need.
Wow.
And the couches later then got trashed by a roommate's dog. So, um, we learn. But I got like a little bit of, oh, like I got the little bug from teaching. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to teach. And
Cool.
then I met this lady who was running an art center, and and I said, hey, you know, I could teach some belly dance at your art center. And she's like, okay. And so we did a trial run, and I said, okay, I'll just teach one day. We'll do a one-time workshop and see who shows up. And
Uh-huh.
so they helped me advertise it. We put out a flyer to the local community and said, hey, there's going to be this belly dance class one time at the art center. Come try it out. And I taught a very simple routine that I had done in a show, in one of Kristen's shows.
Uh-huh.
And we, I think, broke fire code that day. There were so many
Wow.
people that just really wanted to learn. And it was those
Oh,
early days, with like the Shakira wave of belly dancers,
right.
and there weren't enough teachers, and there were so many people ready to learn. And so
Oh,
they all came in. It was like,
cool.
yes, welcome to my belly dance class. And so they all signed up that day for a series. And
Oh,
I
that's
ended up
wonderful.
with like, yeah, I stayed at the art center for years. um, we we ended up adding classes. It was
Uh-huh.
like I went from one class on Thursday nights to like 4 or 5 classes, and it was like
Awesome.
a beginning class and a choreography class, and then people were like, hey, we want to perform with you. So then I started like hosting haflas or parties, and
Yeah.
having shows.
Cool.
So yeah, it kind of just grew, uh you know it just grew, it kind of snowballed. It was nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's so wonderful to have your first workshop and it was like so many people that it was overwhelming. That's great.
Knocking down the door. Yeah,
Yeah,
ready to go.
cool. Tell us about your student troupe that you formed while you were teaching and some of their accomplishments and things that you're most proud of or memories that are, the biggest memories for you.
Yeah, that was cool. It was like, my students got more and more enthusiastic. They're like, okay, we've performed for our friends. Now we want to perform for the community. Now we want to perform, and it just kind of grew from there. And before I knew it, I was the director of a student troupe that was performing at the LA County Fair and the local belly dance festivals. And we got some paid gigs. We did some community outreach. We did some fundraising. We like would go and perform for fundraisers to, I think we did some for cancer research and fibromyalgia, I performed like with a small portion of my troupe. At like various local establishments. We did like the caregiving facility down the street, and like just different outreach, and and more it was fun to see like how they got into it, how it was like, okay, at first we're going to cover up completely and we want to wear all black and we're not going to show anything, but we do want to dance, but
Yeah.
we're not going to wear a lot of makeup, but we do want to dance. And then it was like, okay, we'll wear makeup, okay, we'll wear jewelry, okay, we want costumes. And so I learned how to outfit a student troupe, and we got some professional costumes, and we it was very interesting learning how to find clothing that looks good on all different body types.
Yep.
I am short, but I had a very tall woman in my class. I had women in their 60s and 70s. I had women in their 20s, and we all together and found something. It was hard and it was expensive, but it was awesome. It was really worth it.
Cool. Okay, so you and I have danced together for a long time, and
We have.
we met in 2009, and I took your classes, and I was in your troupe, and then eventually we started doing duets and stuff together. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. Um, One of my favorite people to work with is Jessikah.
Yay!
Uh, we get along pretty well on and off stage, so it really helps. It's really nice to dance with a friend
Yeah.
because the offstage chemistry really translates into onstage chemistry
Yes.
much easier than if it's if you don't have it. Yeah, and our styles just work well together. You've got that stage presence, the theatrical element, and it's really nice to kind of like meld our styles and our personalities, and we just kind of like laugh on stage. And
Yeah.
it works out. I mean, I like there's pictures of us just laughing at each other, and
Yes.
it comes out
True.
so nice. It's so
Yes.
nice. Yeah, but you helped. For those who don't know, Jessikah was a co-director of Thea and Rock's Euphoria for several years, right?
Yep.
You kind of filled in for me when I was pregnant, and kept the troupe going
Yep.
when I couldn't take the troupe to the LA Fair. You
Right.
kept the show going, and it was really really nice to have someone that both knew my material and knew me,
Yep.
and someone that I could trust on a personal level as well, to say like, okay, take care of the girls,
Yeah.
um, go forth and be Rock's Euphoria without me for a little bit.
Right.
And yeah, we've worked very very well together.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we always missed you on those shows that you couldn't do, but having babies is important, and so I was happy to fill in for you, and it was really a great learning experience for me because um, honestly, everything that I learned from you has been so valuable, from organizing shows and how to lead a troupe, rehearsal, and getting everything together for a show and organizing an entire show. I definitely give you mad props for all that, um, and I've been
Good
able to take
job.
I've been able to take that and do that sort of stuff with my own classes too. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you really took the baton and kept running with it. And it's so fun to see. It's so fun to see like
Oh, good.
my baby's all grown up.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So, do you have a favorite prop to dance with?
Um, my favorite prop, I like to keep it simple. I I I really like finger cymbals. They're definitely a challenge because I put them on and I get into like musician brain and I'm like,
Yes.
ooh, look at this cool rhythm I can do, and then I forget to move. So
Yes.
yeah, so like I've caught myself like really simplifying my dances so that I could put finger cymbals in, and
Right.
so I'm working on like you know, not doing that. But yeah, I love finger cymbals. I love veil. But I really really love double veil because it's like it's double.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
heavy
twice
and
the
it's a great
fun.
workout. And at the end, I feel like I've really done something. Like I've lifted weights, and I'm like
Yes.
throwing
Oh,
these things
yes.
around. Yeah, I love double veil. It's hard.
Yes, it is hard. Yes.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I've danced with a lot of props. I've done sword. You know, it hurts, but it's great. I've got like a definitely an indentation on my head from dancing with sword a lot. And I can tell when I hadn't done it in a while because I put it on, I'm like, ow.
Oh, yeah.
uh, but yeah, I mean, it's improved my posture, my balance.
Right.
You know, it's not traditional Egyptian. It's not, you know,
Right.
it's not something that you would find traditionally in those cultures, but it's something that we can do as American dancers that's kind of exciting. And I think like when you dance with the sword, it brings people into the dance, especially around here when they don't have cultural like knowledge. They don't know what they're looking at. They don't know how to see like the little tiny movements. They don't know what to watch. But when there's a sword on your head and you're doing these tiny undulations,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I can watch this.
Yes. Yes.
Like it brings them in. So that's super fun. I didn't think that I would like any of these props. I
Oh.
was actually afraid of them
Uh-huh.
at first. Like I remember dancing with a veil and getting it stuck all over my face
Yes.
and getting it caught in my pants, and
Yep.
um yeah, but I've made friends with the props.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but no props is great.
No, props is great. Yes, absolutely. And a
No
prop
props
is
is
not
great.
going to replace dancing. It's supposed to enhance the dance. So yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, there's a time and a place for ISIS wings and being big and being showy, but also I want to see some tiny movements too. So
yes,
there's a balance.
absolutely, absolutely. Cool. Okay. Um, you danced in restaurants with Kristen. What other restaurants did you
Yeah.
dance in, and what was that experience like?
I've danced in a few restaurants, some for money and some not.
Right.
Um, one of the money ones, one of my money restaurants, was Moon of Tunis. I danced there for a while, and I learned how to be a solo dancer at Moon of Tunis. It was a totally different experience. I remember the first time going there and I had my costume, and I realized once I got into the dressing area that I had never put on my costume by myself before.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's hard to like like
Yes.
put the costume on. And I was like panicking.
Yeah. Yep.
I was in the dressing room. I was like, how do I do this? How do I put this on by myself? And all the waiters were men. And I was like, I can't ask them to do it for me.
Yes.
Yeah, but I danced at Moon of Tunis in Hollywood. It's on
Cool.
Sunset, and it's like fabulous Moroccan restaurant with all the tents. It kind of looks like your backdrop and or my backdrop,
Yes.
maybe the combination of both of our backdrops,
Yep.
and just the best food, and the people were so nice. And there were some nights where like it was like a Tuesday night and it was dead and there was no one and they would still pay me. I danced at Dharma Greb before
Uh-huh.
it went away, and I loved that like just dancing in a palace.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's the place in Burbank, and then I've danced in restaurants like on travels. Like I danced in a
Oh,
restaurant in Brazil, and it was like a totally different experience. Super great to like have that experience, but they were so supportive and sweet and just kind of took me in. Yeah, I love it. I love dancing up to people and connecting with people
right.
through movement, through art, through the energy that you get from like being like this close to someone.
Yes. Yeah.
And
How do you feel about dancing on a stage versus dancing in a restaurant where restaurants, you, like you said,
mm,
you're right up against people. And,
your energy has to be like, just through the roof to
yeah.
get it across on a stage, because you've got the blasting lights on you.
Yeah.
You're like that big to people.
Right.
They don't know what you're doing when you're, if you try to do like a little micro shimmy, no one's going to see it. You have to have your movements bigger than life. You have to have your expressions bigger than life. Your makeup has to be a disaster. Like it has to be huge.
Yeah.
So like
Yep.
disaster. Yeah, so it's a totally different experience, from the audience standpoint, from the stage, because you have to connect with people who are 100 feet away from you.
Right.
and and I mean, you do it. You just do it. Yeah. So you just got to be big or go home.
Yep.
But it works. It's just a different experience for sure.
Yeah.
Emoting from a stage has to be 10 times bigger than emoting in person.
Right.
So in person, you're connecting and you're like, hey,
Yep. Yes.
hi, how you doing? But if you do that on stage, it's just like
Yeah. Nobody sees it.
just
Yep.
standing there. What's she doing? She doing anything? I don't see anything. Yeah. So different movements. I mean, you're like making, even like your arm paths are bigger and you're dancing up onto your toes, and just like everything has to be longer lines. You have to like incorporate styles that maybe aren't uh, from these Middle Eastern sets of movements. Your repertoire is different on stage than in the restaurant. If you take your stage choreography and put it into a restaurant where you're dancing in between the tables, you're gonna smack someone in the face really quickly.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, and they don't want to see like they don't want to see you like chassé
Right.
in their,
Right.
like in between tables. They
Absolutely.
they want to see like little tiny movements, shimmies and undulations and hits and pops, and like
Yeah.
they want to feel the excitement with you. And also like in a restaurant you can get audience participation much easier than on a stage. Like from a
Yes.
stage you're like, okay, clap with me, but that's
Right.
about it. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And also like, I don't know, like I can't see faces
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
I'm getting old, but from the stage I can't see anyone's face, and like I don't know, do they like it? Am I doing anything yet? Is this working? But in person, right here, you can tell.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very
For
true.
good or for bad. You've got like the angry wives that are like, get away from me and my husband.
Right.
But then you've got like like, people that are really getting into it and you can really tell and you can
Yep.
vibe with them.
And other kids like when you were 10 that are
Yes,
excited.
yes. The children. It's all
Yes.
about the children.
Yep.
Hand them a veil and get them going.
Yeah, cool. How has being a musician influenced your dance?
How has it not? um, yeah, to start with, being a music major is very stressful,
Oh,
and dancing was a release for me.
oh,
It was like, I would go from being in the in in the practice rooms at school for 5 hours, just like really shedding through horrible classical repertoire that was like draining and fatiguing, like, oh. And then I'd show up at dance class. I was like, thank goodness I get to move.
yeah.
But really, like, the way that I've learned how to connect with the music is through Western classical training, which is very different from the music that we're being presented with. So, so I've had to kind of untrain myself as a musician to be able to feel the music in a different way. Because you start out and you're like, okay, this is how to count, like, like 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm like, okay, got it. But then, but then what I was first dancing to, because I was so ingrained in counting, I was dancing to the counts. And then I was like, okay, I need to dance to the
Yes.
music. And then I was dancing to the drums. But what I was missing, and for years I was missing that in a lot of this music from, Middle Eastern countries and like Arabic music, you've got these melody instruments and the singers that don't necessarily go with the beat, and
Yes.
it kind of fluid. So if you don't dance to that, then your audience doesn't hear it. So
Right.
you've got like this like violin line that's just gooey and it's like so beautiful, and it's just weaving in between the measures and flowing with it. And for a long time, it was hard for me to get to that point where I could dance to it, because I was like stuck counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4,
Oh,
da, 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 da.
yeah.
And so, like, getting from counts to doom text to yeah, to accordion was hard, um, but so rewarding. And I feel like if I can hear it as a dancer and I can dance to it, then I can help my audience then hear it as well.
Yes. Tell us about any creative challenges that you've had as a teacher, as a dancer, whatever strikes you as the most, oh my goodness, I never thought I'd be doing this, or how do I fix this, or how do I make this work?
Um, as a teacher, it's like clashing personalities that come into my classes,
Yes.
having to like be kind of like a mom, like a
Yes.
referee to my
Yes.
students. Like, okay, kids.
Yes.
um, and working with different styles of people and bringing them together. That's been very, very interesting. Let's say
Yes.
interesting.
Sure.
But also like varying abilities and varying backgrounds. You have people who can like do the splits, and then you have people that are like recovering from surgeries.
Right.
And so learning how to choreograph and how to work with all these different levels and abilities and work it into something that's cohesive
Right.
has been, I think it's been good. I think that it's been a good challenge to say, like, okay, there's going to be people in the back that are going to just do background moves, and
Yep.
there's going to be people in the front who are doing full back bends.
Right.
And that's okay because it's visually stunning.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and then I've learned that, like, with teaching, especially with one-on-one clients, I do a lot of like life coaching.
Oh, really? Oh,
It's like it
interesting.
turns into like therapy because people find dance to be very therapeutic, and it really, really is. So what goes along with teaching and music too, teaching dance, teaching music is it's very emotional, and teaching something that brings out deep, real emotions, we have to work through it. And
Right.
so I end up then, kind of like showering my students with love. Like,
Yes.
it's gonna be okay. We can get through this together.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's been a surprise,
yeah.
um, but also like a really welcome surprise. Like helping people has been very good for me too.
Yeah.
It helps me too. I mean, the teacher
Sure.
learns the most. So when we get through these breakthroughs that are both artistic breakthroughs, but also psychological and emotional,
Yes.
um, I walk away and I'm just like, I feel light as air. like
Yes.
like
How about as just a dancer, like being part of a group, another group perhaps, or a solo or something? Any creative challenges there?
yes. um, so I started competing again a couple years ago, and the competition style of choreography is very different from what I lean towards. I'm usually like, I feel the music.
Yeah.
I'm very like, I'm gonna take my time and be expressive and just enjoy it. And maybe I'll have like one showy thing that I do, and people are like, "Oh, it's great, it's amazing." But then if I show up with that style of choreography in a
Yeah.
competition, I'll be like booed off the stage. So
Oh.
competition mindset of choreography, like trying to pack everything I know into a 5 minute set,
Oh.
is like it really does take months and months
Sure.
to put something like that together. Um, like in the olden days, we had 20 minutes to go out on stage and
Yeah.
do everything that we wanted to. And with a 20-minute set, you can really dig deep and you can get into the
Right.
floor work and you can get into the, like I'm going to play with the timing of this movement for a while and just kind of
Right.
connect with my audience and just look them in the eyes.
Uh-huh.
And then in 5 minutes, what are you going to do? You got to show them everything. So
Right.
yeah, creatively, it's like how much can I put into this without being overwhelming? So
Wow.
there's that balance. Yeah. My answer is competitions, super hard.
So, what are you most proud of in your dance career?
Oh, thank you for asking. Um, well, I'm just proud of my dance career. I am I am celebrating, I think maybe it's in the next couple months. I have to look, but it's 20 years of dance. 20 years of belly dance, I should say. I danced a little in high school. It wasn't belly dance.
Yeah.
Um, but 20 years of belly dance, 20 years since I showed up and started paying for classes.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot in 20 years.
Yes.
Um, I mean, there's more to do. There's definitely more to do, but I'm proud of my students. I'm proud of the people that I've reached, both in person and online, and
Yep.
through my performing and through my teaching. I'm proud of the connections that I've made,
Uh-huh.
and um, I'm really proud of still being able to do what I can do
Yes.
20 years later.
Yes.
Uh, that's that's a scary number for me, and and,
It is.
and I've decided that I'm not celebrating my birthday this year because it's a big number and it's scary, but
Yeah.
I can celebrate 20 years of belly dance.
Yeah.
And I really feel like I've come a long way. I love that I've, been able to experience both like stage shows and, theatrical performances, but also like restaurants and baby showers and like,
Sure.
just the whole range. And then I've won awards, so that's pretty cool too. I won the improv hot improv challenge this last year, and it was like, oh, they like me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Must
that
be
was
doing
amazing.
something right. yeah, so it was nice to like have some recognition for the things that
Yes.
I've done as a dancer. Um, and I'm so proud of like the people that have come to me and then gone on and done more things.
Yeah.
Like I'm proud of you. Like I'm
You.
proud of my people. I'm proud of my connections,
Yeah,
and I think that my dancing has gotten better in 20
definitely.
years. I
Oh,
think it
yeah,
has.
definitely. I think one thing that's so exciting about belly dance is that growth, because I definitely feel like I have grown so much, and every year I feel that, and I feel like, wow, these are the things I did this year. But it's not just the things that you do, but it's sort of the feelings that you have, and how you connect more with music, or you just feel like you didn't think you could do this sort of thing before, and now you can.
Yeah, and you know, you watch some of these old videos of like if you watch yourself
Yes.
from way back, like oh, that was a really great performance. I want to watch that. And then you watch it and you're like, oh, I've
Yes.
come a long way. And I've gotten to this point where like it's a little embarrassing to watch these old videos, but at the same time, it's so exciting because you see it and you're like, oh my gosh, I have come this far. And
Yes.
it's great. It's great. It's like I went and watched an old show that I did. I think it was like 2007.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, that was a great show, wasn't it? That was a great show. And I went and I found it, like I dug it up. I went to the garage and was like, okay, I'm gonna get this show out.
Yeah.
And I found like dusted off the little
Yeah.
DVD and had to find a DVD player to watch it. It was and and it was like all of the things that I now teach my students not to do, of like
Yeah.
putting too much into into your routine, like too many moves in too little time. There's no clarity. There's like you're moving your head too much. What are you doing? Like where's your posture? You're not
Yeah.
you're not supporting your movements with your abs. Like what's happening?
Yeah.
But then I remember also that day when people came up to me after that show and said, that was amazing, you've
Yeah.
really inspired me.
Yeah.
So there's both ends of it. Like you can do, like your little baby dancing was inspiring to someone else who
Yes.
then maybe took it further.
Yeah.
And and I've come a long way.
Have you ever traveled to any special places for dance? Tell us about that.
I've traveled a little bit and I want to do more. I went to my big travel was to Brazil with Mesmera, and that was like life changing. Came back and I was like, I'm ready to take on the world. Uh,
Yeah, tell us about
uh,
that. So you went to Brazil,
yeah,
and what did you do there, and how did it change your life?
it was it was like a 12-day excursion, and
Okay.
we toured. We went to three different places. We went to Rio, we went to Salvador, and we went to this tiny place called Paraty, and it was like this little island town, like port town with little islands, and
Cool.
we went through on the boat through the islands, and we had our caipirinhas and like cachaça is no joke. So yeah, and we took some classes from some samba dancers, and we took belly dance classes, and then we performed in a
Cool.
couple of different restaurants, and it was just glorious. When you're I had been I should back up a little bit. I majored in Afro Latin music for my master's. But my focus was really on Brazilian music. I really fell in love with it,
Cool.
and at the time I was learning belly dance, I was learning Brazilian music, I was learning Portuguese, and it was just like I saw this advertisement for like who wants to come with me to Brazil, and I was
Ah,
like, hey Mesmera, my name's Thea, and I'm going with you to Brazil. She
cool.
said, oh, okay. Um, well, why don't you show me how you dance first? I'm like, no, 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 I'm good. And yeah, so there were 10 belly dancers, and I had been like, I'm like, I've been training for this moment. I was like talking to the taxi drivers in Portuguese,
Oh,
and
cool.
all the other belly dancers were like, who is this girl? I'm like, I was like, I went into like the music store and I was buying, sheet music of my favorite Brazilian artists. But also I got to be a belly dancer in a beautiful country.
Yeah.
And we were dancing in the streets one night, and this is like, it was like the best compliment I feel like I've had in my whole life, which is
Yeah.
like in Portuguese, and I don't remember how to speak Portuguese anymore, but at that moment I was like, I understand everything you're saying to me.
Uh,
I There was a festival in the street,
mhm.
and there was live music and there was drumming and everyone was dancing like in the middle of the street and like town square. And we were in Bahia, and the people there are just gorgeous and dark skin, and just like they just feel the music in their bones, and they're like dancing the street
Yeah.
samba and just getting into it. And so I'm out there dancing with the locals, and this beautiful, like dark handsome dude says, like, you feel it, you are
Yeah.
one of us.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, wow, I could like live here. And then
Yeah.
I came back to Los Angeles, and I was just like ready for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have done some like more local travels, like
Uh-huh.
all over California.
Right. Sure.
and and I went and taught some workshops up in Northern California.
Okay.
I've like, little travels. And then I went to Canada for a women's health conference, and it was like, I got to dance in Canada, and it
Oh,
was
that's
like
fun.
beautiful.
Yeah.
In beautiful British Columbia. But I do want to get over myself, and I want to get out to different parts of the world and meet people and just connect.
Yeah. How has the pandemic changed dance for you?
I've upped my social media presence. I've upped my presence on YouTube. I'm reaching out and connecting with other musicians and dancers, and in a way that I didn't think was possible.
Yes. Tell us about the dance community, festivals or events that you enjoyed going to.
Los Angeles dance community is huge.
It
It is
is.
huge. And there's a lot of little tiny events, and there's a lot of really big things that are happening here.
Yeah.
So just picking something to go to is exciting in itself.
Yes.
But yeah, I've been doing more uh, like the little Hofla
Uh-huh.
shows, like the little shows,
Yeah.
and it's really fun to connect that way. And it's surprising to me how many professional dancers are showing up at these Hoflas.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
they're not paid to do this. It's just that we're starving for performance. So
Totally.
it's
Yes.
been so wonderful to have these dancers in the area that are just pushing through and
Yep.
still hosting these events.
Absolutely.
Like Einor, and we've got Shireen for Club Cleopatra. We've got Moonlight and Stars. Uh, I haven't been to Hofla at the Hair yet, but like we've got people organizing events. I know how hard it is to organize events. I mean, you were at some of my shows. I organized a lot of events, and it's
Yes.
really really hard.
A lot
Um,
of work. Yep.
it's it's nice. It's
Yeah.
nice. It's great. I really appreciate people who do that, because I
Yes.
know. Uh, but going to the big festivals is just the best. It's the
Yes.
best. And we've got Cairo Shimmy Quake here in Glendale, and I know it's on hiatus,
Yep.
but I think they're coming back pretty soon, and
They
I'm looking
said
forward to
in
it. And
person this
then
year, so
um,
yeah, hopefully.
we'll see. Yeah, if they have it, I will be there. I will
Yes.
definitely be there, and I'm so looking forward to that, because having a place where we all meet together, and it's
Yeah.
like, hey, my people.
Yes.
And then Hot Rocks. I went to Hot Rocks for the first time last year,
Yep.
and that was just a glorious event. And like Andalid really stops at nothing to get the best
Yeah.
instructors and the best performers and the best musicians. And just like, it is so wonderful to just party with party with like-minded dancers
Yeah.
for a whole weekend, for
Yeah.
like 3 days. And it's not just dancers, it's like dancers. It's like people who really, really, truly care about this art form.
Yeah.
People who really cherish it and will drive, you know, 3 hours, 4 hours to get there from different parts of the state or from out of state or from out of the country.
Yeah.
And we're coming together with this like-minded, you know, passion.
Yeah.
We're all like, we already have that in common.
Yes.
So even though we don't know each other, we're like, hey, I love you already.
Yeah.
So that's really, really nice. Like we get together and we're ready. We're ready to learn. But I also want to mention, you know, favorite festivals and training.
Yeah.
Going back to my love of Brazilian
Yeah.
culture, I went to a dance camp. It was a music and dance camp up in Northern California, and I
Oh,
went there for 2 summers, and it was a week-long festival where we pitched a tent and like camped.
oh,
But they brought in source dancers, source musicians from Brazil to
wow.
come and teach us classes all day long. And it was an
Cool.
immersion camp.
Oh.
So this was before I went to Brazil. I was
Oh,
already like ready, and I had studied samba, and I was like, I know
cool.
how to do this. I know what to do. So bringing these source dancers in is like, I don't know if this is specifically unique to Los Angeles, but it's definitely something that we have here in California.
Yeah.
We can bring people in. And
Yeah.
so even though I haven't yet been to Egypt, I feel
Yeah.
like I've connected with Egypt. Even though I
Yeah.
haven't been to Turkey yet, I've connected with Turkey.
Sure.
And I have roots in, like, I'm part Greek by descent and I'm part
Yeah.
Persian by descent. And I feel like I've connected with my heritage
Yes.
because I live in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
because I have people who grew up there in my
Yeah.
life, and I know the food, and I know, like, I feel it. I
Yeah.
feel it very strongly.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to live in this big city where, or even just California in general,
Yeah.
like, we bring people in.
We do. Yep. Yep. Do you prefer dancing to live music or recorded music? I bet I know the answer to this.
I want to hear what you think before I tell you my answer.
Oh, my guess is live. Live
Okay,
music.
so my answer is both, but I lean towards live.
Yeah.
I definitely will take a live band over recorded music for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's something magical, even if the musicians are like brand new baby musicians, don't know what they're doing,
Yeah.
and they know like one rhythm. There's something exciting about it. There's
Yeah.
something like um, the spontaneity.
Yeah.
You know, like, you feel what they're playing in a
Uh-huh.
different way than on a recording. But there are recordings that you can't get live.
This is true. Yes.
There's there's going to be stuff. Yeah, I mean, there are musicians who are incredible musicians that don't perform live,
Uh,
and so you can't get that feeling from that.
right.
Like, I was raised on the Beatles, so, like, for example,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I know this is not at all what we're talking about,
Yeah.
but for example, the Beatles were like, hey, we're not connecting with our audience when we perform live because all they're doing is screaming at us. So we're gonna make some incredible art, but we're never gonna perform it. And
Uh,
it was like
yeah.
like the only way that you can experience this music is through the recordings.
Yes.
And then when you go back to, like, recordings of Kulthum, like,
Yep.
those were live performances, but you can't hear her
Right.
in person.
Yeah.
So yeah, live, but
Yeah.
also there are some gaps that you have to fill in with recorded.
Yep. You have two daughters. Do they have any interest in dance?
Dance, yes. Performing, um, one of them.
Ah,
Yeah. Uh, they're doing some traditional dance classes right now. They're
yeah,
doing ballet and jazz and tap. And one of them is like, I want to learn all of this
yeah.
and I want to perform none of it.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
And even me showing up at the end of class and like I've got my little camera
Yeah.
out and I'm like video recording the class, like, oh, I'm so proud of you. She gets so mad at me. She's
Oh,
like,
really?
Mommy, I don't want that on film. And I'm like, it's for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's not super interested in being like girly and dressing up like a pretty princess,
Yeah.
like I am. Um, she
Yeah.
doesn't like the shiny stuff, and I do. But
Huh.
then my other one, my younger one, is all about the glamour and the performance, and just like she
Huh.
wears dresses every day, and she wants to be a pretty princess, and just
Yeah.
everything girly. And she is very interested in belly dance. And
Ah,
so what I told her is
cool.
like, um, where we are in the world, it's a little more socially acceptable if
Yeah.
you learn ballet first.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Like, go learn ballet first. Um, but she'll come and she'll sit in on my classes. The other day she came in
Fun.
and you know, I was teaching a little lesson out here and she's like, "Can I come in?"
Yes.
I
Okay.
said, if you're dancing, yeah, but if you're asking for, my internet password, no. Like, what are you asking for?
Yeah. I think it means more to people if they find it themselves.
Absolutely. It's like anything, like with a belief system or with,
Yeah.
any kind of passion. You have to
Absolutely.
find it yourself.
I agree. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
On that note, do you want to say anything about your mom dancing in your classes? Because that's kind of
Oh, my mom.
fun.
I am a second generation belly dancer, but only because I taught my mom how to belly dance. Um, and she has been the most supportive mother, and I'm so, so grateful and so happy. My earliest memories of dancing in general were with my mom.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just put music on in the living room and dance with my mom.
Oh,
And she's just a stunning person and I adore her. And so when I started teaching, I was like, Mom, I need bodies in my
yep.
class. Will you please come? She's like, okay. And she came and she like outdanced everyone in the room. And I'm probably just saying that because I love her and she's my mom and she's totally cute. But she had a blast and I was like, well, I need you to keep coming.
Yes.
I'm gonna need you to be part of my troupe because I need one more person in my
Yep.
troupe, and I think that this costume would look good on you. And I was like, okay, yeah, she's just so supportive and so wonderful and selfless, and the only reason that she did it really was for me.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I forced her to do it because she was good at it and she seemed to be enjoying herself. So
Yeah.
so I'm like, well, you have to keep doing it. Yeah, and I think there's something so powerful with dancing with your mom, like just
Totally.
having the generations in there, and traditionally, like if you go back hundreds of years, this dance has been performed and passed down from mother to daughter, from grandmother to grandchild. This is a dance of women for women that's been passed down through generations, and I'm so happy to have been able to pass it up a
Yes.
generation.
Yes.
My
Okay.
mom's the best.
She was good. She was so good.
Yeah,
She really
yeah,
was. It was great to watch her dance. Talk about The Wizard of Oz.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Um, I was recovering from an operation in 2019, and I found these like uh, community classes taught by Jelena. I was like, what is this? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Community classes taught by Jelena? I am there. And I was like hobbling into class. I was not cleared really for that level of dancing yet from my doctor. And I was like, can I go and dance? And they're like, fine. And so I went into this class, and she probably thought I was like just this, you know, brand new newbie out of the streets. Like, how did you hear about these classes? I'm like, well, you're Jelena. um, yeah, and I started dancing kind of as therapy for
Yeah.
recovery, and I was very very careful how I was dancing at that time, and then Jelena's like, wait, you're kind of good, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I was better than this.
Yeah.
and and she was like, hey, stay after class, and she said, I want you to audition for this thing. And it wasn't Wizard of Oz yet. It was I can't think of the name right now, but it was like an outreach video that
Oh,
she was working on. It
so
was like a
like
passion
Women's
project.
Day or Women's
Yeah,
Empowerment?
the Women's Day thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was in the little video that she put out, and then she said, hey, stay after class. I want you to audition for Wizard of Oz, this new project that I'm working on. And and I was like, okay. And I remember I was on the phone with my mom after class as I was driving home. I like put her on the speakerphone, and
Yeah.
I said, Mom, I'm auditioning for this thing, and I think I'm gonna make it. It's the Wizard of Oz, and I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna be a munchkin. and and I just, like, I was half joking. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be in the Lollipop Guild
Yeah.
because I'm short and I'm cute and I'm little and I was like, they're either gonna make me Dorothy or they're gonna put me in the Lollipop Guild. And I was in the Lollipop Guild, had a little lollipop crown. But it was a stage show and worked my booty off. Um, and I was still like in recovery from surgery, and
Yeah.
I kind of like maybe shouldn't have done it, but I did it, and it was an incredible learning opportunity for me to be able to do something that I hadn't done in many years, which is
Yeah.
be on stage in like a storytelling
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
Because I performed in musicals in high school
Uh-huh.
as just like part of the chorus and the
Yeah.
dancer, and and yeah, I was like singing and dancing, and and it was so cool to revisit that, but from a, a world dance lens,
Yeah.
and as a professional or semi-professional dancer, to come and be a storyteller on stage with weird costumes,
Yeah.
and then try to like use my dance training in something that I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus,
Cool.
I met people from all over the world. I've connected with dancers through that show.
Yeah.
um yeah, I've got friends now. Yay, got
Yeah.
friends.
Cool. Do you have any fun or funny stories about past performances?
I was taking classes from Princess Farhana
Uh-huh.
for a while, and there was this really cool chick in that class, and she was just like getting all the moves right, and just
Yeah.
really knew how to carry herself, and just had this fantastic like stage presence. And I was like, man, who is this chick? She looks kind of familiar. And at some point we were chatting, and I was like, oh, what was your name? She says, oh, it's Margaret. I'm like, okay, Margaret, it's nice to meet you. And I'm like, that's funny, she really reminds me of someone. And then Farhana had a showcase where she featured some of her dancers.
Yeah.
And so I was featured, and Margaret was featured, and Farhana was in the show, and there might have been like one more person.
Yeah.
And in the flyer that went um, went sent out, it was like an email, because it was
Yeah.
back then. The email flyer
Yeah.
was like featuring uh, Thea, Miss Thea, Margaret Cho, Princess Farhana, someone else. And I was like, oh, her last name's Cho. That's funny. and and then okay, so we get to the show, and there's like people lined up around the block trying to get in. The whole restaurant's packed. I'm like, wow, she really did a good job marketing this thing. And and people were so enthusiastic and they were tipping up a storm. I'm like, this is the best show I've ever been a part of. Wow, they must really like Princess Farhana, or maybe like, I don't know, maybe I did a good job promoting this thing. Good job, me. and and backstage, I was chatting with Margaret, and it occurred to me, oh crap, this is Margaret Cho, the comedian that I've been seeing on Comedy Central. This is Margaret Cho, who's like super famous, and these
Yes.
are all of her supporters. This
Yes.
crowd is for her. And I was so embarrassed. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I know who you are. So sorry. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're such a good dancer. And sweet Margaret Cho then made me she said something like, I love your hips. So she came back to class like the next week and had made me a belt, this
Wow.
beautiful like brocade fabric with like
Wow.
this fringe on it, and it's just like, she's like, I made this for you. I'm like,
Wow.
oh,
That's
Margaret Cho
cool.
made me a belt. So,
Yeah.
so if you're watching, Margaret, I love it.
Yeah. That reminds me that you have danced for Dick Van Dyke. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah, I love him. Okay, so he showed up at one of our shows, and we're all like, ugh. Dick Van Dyke is here. He's here. He's in the front row. He's at our show. What is he doing here? Why is he here? What is going on? Dick Van Dyke is at our show, and the whole time we're just like, hello, Dick Van Dyke. I love you. And I had like this I don't know where this confidence came from that night, but I was one of the co-producers of the show, so I was like, okay, well, it's my show. I have to thank him for coming.
Mhm.
So during intermission, I sat down right next to him and I said, thank you so much for being here. And we started chatting, and just, I mean, seriously, the nicest man alive. Um, would not talk about himself and started asking
Yeah.
me questions. So at the end of the show, I was able to like bring him up to dance. I
Yeah.
did get him up to dance, and I was able to dance with Dick Van Dyke, and he did
Cool.
his penguin dance, and it was adorable, and I
Oh,
loved it. Yeah, so I was invited. Turns out his wife was in the show, so
yes.
I didn't realize that they were connected. But I she did invite me to be a featured dancer at one of their house parties,
Cool.
one of
Yeah.
their Halloween
Awesome.
parties, and I got to go and perform at his house for his friends.
That's fun.
And then I connected with Arlene and said, hey, that was amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me. And if you ever need a musician, I also play the flute.
Uh-huh.
And and so I ended up going back a couple times,
Oh.
and I played music for Dick Van Dyke with
Oh,
my
cool.
trio. So
Yeah.
I played some classical music for him, and for his 91st birthday, I got to go to his house. So we had Baroque music and Kentucky Fried Chicken and like 10 people, and they were all just staring at me, watching me play the flute. So uh,
Cool.
really, really the nicest, most generous, sweet, kind man I've ever met, and
Yeah.
I'm very, very lucky to have met him several times now. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I
Those,
got to dance with him. I got to play
yeah.
music for him.
What is the most unique belly dance related project that you've ever worked on?
So, I'm a musician, and I've been writing music for Bellydance lately because I can.
Yes.
And it's gotten better. It was okay when I started, and now it's pretty good. And I'm selling my music on Bandcamp, and um, I've finally started connecting the dots. Like, I am a musician and a dancer, and I can do both.
Yeah.
So I started making some music videos of my own music,
Cool.
which it goes back to like pandemic times. Like we don't have a lot of connection with each other. So I'm kind of like in my own world creatively. Like
Yeah.
how many things can I do as Thea? Like
Yeah.
I can play the flute, I can play piano, I can write music and I can compose and I can mix these sounds and I can learn how to play the drums and I can add that in and I can
Yeah.
and then I think I'll dance to it and see if it works. So then I start dancing to it. And so um, I think it's unique
Yeah.
that I have created um, music videos
Yeah.
of my dancing to my music that
Yes.
I've then brought in and edited myself because I'm just like on zero budget and I figure why not? I bought the computer for music and it also does editing. So I'll do
Yeah.
that. And and I've learned how to do my own makeup. So hair and makeup by me.
Yes.
And some of it is like costuming by me.
Yeah.
But it's like how much can I do by myself and how much do I want to outsource? The answer is I'd love to outsource everything, but
Yeah.
but sometimes it's exciting to see what you can do as one person.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
it's a lot. It's a
It is.
surprising amount.
It is. It is. And your music is wonderful. I love your music. I use it in
Thank
my
you.
classes, and I've made some choreographies to it. So
Yay!
that's pretty awesome too. One of the choreographies that I made is for Shimmy Mob, which is the international flash mob belly dance event, which raises money and awareness about eradicating domestic violence. And they chose my choreography to your music. So one of your songs from
So
your
cool.
albums is a bonus dance for 2022, and I'm super excited about that for me and you because I'm trying to get your music out there too. So I think it's fantastic.
That is so cool. Big high five to us.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Go team. That is super cool. And
Yeah.
connecting with the global community as well. Very cool.
Absolutely, because it is an international event, so everybody from around the world can buy your music and learn my dance and do it for Shimmy Mob and hopefully eradicate domestic violence or at least raise
Hey,
awareness about it too. So yeah,
all good things.
all good things.
That
So your music is on Bandcamp, so let's just talk about that for a second so we can plug.
my music is on Bandcamp. The reason I chose to do it this way was to provide something for the dance and yoga community that is royalty free by my choice. I chose not to license the music. So I have been using my music for my classes, and it's become very valuable to have royalty free music and to have something to perform to online that isn't going to get
Yes,
taken down, right?
exactly.
Something to teach to that isn't going to get advertised all over on YouTube from
Yes,
someone else who owns the rights to the music or flagged on Facebook or muted.
yes,
If you have your class muted, then what is it? So so I figured like if I need this, then the thousands of other instructors on Facebook and Instagram and
yes,
YouTube also probably need this too. And I might as well provide it royalty free. But also Bandcamp is very, very good to their artists. And we get a bigger percentage
yes.
when you buy from Bandcamp than if you buy from the other platforms if the music is distributed
Right,
more widely. And it's definitely a niche market that will
right.
that will enjoy the music that I'm putting out. So I'm doing music for yoga, meditation. It's a little different from the spa music that you would hear, traditionally, I guess.
Yeah,
but but I'm also doing belly dance inspired, Arabic inspired
yes,
music. So it's a little bit fusiony, but I'm kind of exploring what I can do as a Western trained musician
right.
with these world rhythms and instruments, and I'm using original compositions and mixing them together and seeing what I can do.
Cool, cool. Do you play
So
any
6 albums right now.
6 albums? That's awesome.
Some of it has no live instruments at all, and
Yeah.
some of it is all live instruments.
Oh,
There are a couple of
fantastic.
tracks that have no digital aspects at all, and it's just
Wonderful.
me playing flute, playing drums, singing, like, and and I'm just seeing like what can I do? What can I
Yeah,
do? Again, it's what can I do as one person, and is it worth anything? Um,
definitely. I
and
think
then I play the piano. Um,
so. Yeah.
and some of my music is digital recording, so I play through my keyboard and it goes into it's MIDI, so it goes in and it will turn my piano recording into an oud.
Oh, wow, that's
Or
cool. Yeah.
yeah, so sometimes you'll hear some instruments that if you listen closely they're digital,
Yeah.
but it's me playing kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
And I'm learning how to play some drum rhythms. I'm a baby drummer,
Yeah.
but I do some singing, a little bit of singing in there. Some of it is me.
Cool.
There was one track where my daughters came and they like, oh, you're singing into the microphone. I want to sing into the microphone, and so they were like singing along with me, and I was like,
Oh,
oh, well, that's kind of cool. Like it's a
yeah.
little off key, but it's kind of like weird, and then I like threw some filters on it. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. So there's
Nice.
there's some stuff that's like a little experimental, but I'm also trying to mix the fusion sound with something that's a little more authentic. So
Yeah.
I'm exploring my range as a musician.
That's so
So enjoy.
fantastic. Yeah, I love it. You have made your own costumes. So tell us about that process, how you started learning to do that, if there's something that you're the most proud of, and what you think about making your own costumes.
First of all, due credit where due credit is due. Um, thank you, because I went to my friend Jessica's house and she helped me put together a pattern for a skirt because I really was a beginner in sewing, and I bought a sewing machine to start making costumes because it's hard when you have a specific body type that doesn't fit what's going to come in the mail.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and I wasn't ready at the time to shell out,
Yeah.
$500 for something that was custom made for me. So I decided to try
Yeah.
and do something custom made for me by myself. Again, how
Yep.
much can you do by yourself? It's a
Exactly.
pandemic. Yeah, so this was before pandemic. We got together and we made skirts.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, this is cool fabric. You should do it too." So,
Yeah.
um, but I've made a few costumes. I'm very proud of them. They are not the same quality as what I'm gonna get from a designer,
Yeah.
but that's okay. And
Yeah.
I think that there's a time and a place for homemade costumes, and
Yep.
sometimes we need to also do something by ourselves to really appreciate what other people are doing for us
Yes.
too. So going through the creative process of gathering the materials, picking the design, making the mock-up and the
Yeah.
like just really taking scissors and cutting through fabric
Yeah.
is an experience that I think everyone should have.
Yep.
And then you end up with something that is unique and it is you and it is made for you. And maybe it's not as good
Yeah.
as the high-end costumes, but it's something that I'm proud of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's different.
Exactly.
Like, where did you get that? I made it.
Yeah. And you could always wear it for a specific type of performance, a community
Right,
show,
right.
and you know that nobody else is going to have that costume. It's just
Yeah,
you.
and I did end up making from the scraps of one of my costumes, I made matching ones for my daughters,
Oh yes.
and we were able to kind of play around with that. That was one of their their birthday presents.
Uh-huh.
One year I was like, okay, I will make you a belly dance costume. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah. And they wore it like twice, but
Yeah.
also I didn't have to buy
Yeah.
$1,000 worth of costuming for my daughters to wear something twice.
Yeah.
Like it was just something that, I love them enough that I was able to spend some time and create something for them.
How cute. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anywhere that you really want to go or any person that you really want to study with?
I want to go and experience, the different styles, like the different intricacies between the styles in Turkey versus uh, Egypt and the different areas of Egypt, and like go to Morocco and see
Yeah.
what dancers are like there, and go and feel the culture and taste the food. And
So let's talk about social media because you have really
oh geez,
exploded on social media in the last year, I guess, or maybe two, since the pandemic, at any rate. I think you have 100 million views on YouTube that just happened, and by the time this airs, maybe it'll be even more. Um,
101.
and you have so many followers on TikTok and on Instagram. They've just really gone crazy. So talk about that. Like, how did you get there, and what do you think about it?
I don't know. I don't know what I think, and I don't know how I got there. I put up a video like 10 years ago on YouTube that had like 0 views for a long time. And at some point, I looked at it and it had like 8,000 views. And I went into my class, I went into my belly dance class. I'm like, you guys, my YouTube is exploding. There's 8,000 views on this one video. And they're like, no way. And then the next time I looked, it was like 1 million.
Wow,
And now it's whatever,
crazy.
34,000 views on this one video, 34 million views on this one video that was just this throwaway performance that I thought at the time kind of sucked. It was
Wow,
just like
wow.
um yeah, I have a fan base in several countries, and I've got a lot of people in India and Pakistan and yeah, Saudi Arabia. Like there's people that are watching me, and and they watch a lot of my videos now. So it's
Yeah,
like yeah, my YouTube presence has exploded, and it's been really fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's been really fun.
yeah, of
And
course.
I've been able to monetize some of my videos now because I'm
That's
using
good.
my own music.
Yeah,
Royalty free is the way to go, you guys.
yep,
It's really good. And yeah, TikTok was funny. I fought it for a long time. I actually fought social media like
yeah,
every step of the way. I was like Facebook, and then I was like, I love Facebook, and then it was like Instagram.
yeah.
Now I'm all over Instagram, and then I've gotten a lot of coaching from Katie Sahar again for social media presence, and it's paid off, I guess, because I have this following. And
Yeah.
she's like, hey, you guys, why don't you try TikTok? And so I was like, fine. And I got on TikTok, and the next day I had 8,000 followers, and the next day I had 60,000 followers. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just a different way to reach people. It's a different audience.
Yeah.
And so because of the algorithms, you have a different way to connect with people
Yeah.
through each platform, and they're a different set of people.
Yeah.
There's very little overlap between my TikTok crowd and my YouTube crowd.
Huh.
There's very little overlap between my YouTube and my Instagram.
Yeah.
And Instagram and Facebook is totally different people too. So
Yeah.
it's just reaching people through these different platforms. And I didn't think that I was gonna like it, and I kind of do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've kind of like been watching what I'm posting that gets attention, and it's always what you think is not gonna get
Yeah.
anything. And like I'll spend hours and hours on this one post or this one video, and then it's like a flop.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
wah, wah. And then this little like I'm sweaty at the end of teaching a lesson. I'm like, hey, hold the phone for
Yeah.
3 minutes, and I'll do this combo in front of. And then it's like oh, by the way, this had 10 million views.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's just like sweaty and gross and there's no makeup. And I'm like, why? Why do you like this?
Yeah.
I don't know. The
Wow.
answer for that question is I
Yeah.
don't know.
This was so fun.
That was fantastic. It's so nice to talk to you.
Yeah.
I I have some things that I'm working on and I don't want to tell you too much yet, but
Okay.
I have some courses that I'm working on that I'm going to be releasing soon.
Cool.
I'm kind of playing with some new ideas of how to approach teaching dance
Uh-huh.
and kind of taking it in different directions. So I'm
Cool.
excited to share that pretty soon.
That's very exciting. Yeah. So tell us where we can find you on social media.
On Instagram, I am Thea Rocks, RAQS. So it's TheaRAQS. And that's also for Facebook. I'm not super active on Facebook, but I do copy over my material. So if you don't like Instagram, you can find me on Facebook. And then on TikTok, I'm Thea Bellydance. So
Oh, yeah.
MissThea.com will take you everywhere if you want to just go straight to my website, MissThea.com. You can get my music on Bandcamp, and it's MissThea.bandcamp.com. And I'm also on Patreon if you just want like little lessons, video library of me teaching and some pre-recorded stuff. I'm Patreon. I think I'm Miss Thea on that as well.
Yeah.
So you can find me with a search term of Miss Thea or Thea Belly Dance, and you'll find me. I'm Thea Belly Dance on YouTube.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me, Thea, on Shimmy Chat. And I really had a great time talking with you. There were some wonderful things that you brought up, some great stories, and I even learned some new things that I didn't know.
Thanks for taking 2 hours to interview me.
Sure. So I hope you guys enjoyed it too, and I'll see you next time on Shimmy Chat. Bye.